Are you ready for English in 2026? Because here's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I have to be honest, it keeps me up at night sometimes. The way we learn and use English is about to change forever, and I mean forever in a way that's different from all those other times we said technology would change everything.
You know what's interesting, James? I was talking to a software engineer friend last week who's been learning English for about 5 years. Really dedicated learner, right? And she told me something that actually shocked me. She said she feels like she's been learning the wrong skills. Not wrong in the traditional sense, but wrong for what's coming.
That's exactly it. And that feeling she described, that uncertainty, it's not just her. I'm seeing this everywhere. So here's what we need to talk about today. Imagine effortlessly commanding English in any professional setting, even as AI rapidly reshapes communication. That's not some distant fantasy we're dangling in front of you. This is actually achievable, but it requires understanding something crucial about how AI is changing the game.
So let's start with the uncomfortable question, because I think we need to name the elephant in the room. What if your current English skills aren't enough for 2026? And before anyone panics, this isn't about saying your hard work doesn't matter. It's about recognizing that the professional world is evolving at this incredible speed, and AI is demanding a new level of communicative competence.
Right. And here's where I want to slow down for a second because this matters. When we say AI is changing English learning, most people immediately think, oh, so robots are going to replace teachers, or I should just use ChatGPT to write my emails. But that's actually missing the deeper transformation happening.
Talk more about that, because I think this is where people get confused. They see AI as either this magical solution or this terrifying threat.
So think about it this way. For decades, we've taught English as if it's this fixed target you're trying to hit. You memorize vocabulary lists, you practice grammar rules, and you repeat phrases. And that works to a degree. But here's what's changed. In 2026, which is literally just around the corner, the real skill isn't just knowing English, it's knowing how to collaborate with AI to express yourself more effectively, to understand context more deeply, and to adapt your communication in real time.
That word collaborate is doing a lot of work there. Can you give us a concrete example? Because I think people hear collaborate with AI and it sounds vague.
Absolutely. So let's say you're in a business meeting, virtual or in person, and someone uses an idiom you don't fully understand. Maybe they say something like, we need to circle back on this after we've had time to let it percolate. Now, traditionally, you might nod along, pretend you understood, maybe look it up later. But here's the new reality. You could have an AI assistant in real time giving you context, not just translating the words, but explaining the cultural meaning, the professional implication, even suggesting how you might respond appropriately.
And that's not cheating, which I think is what some people worry about.
It's so not cheating. This is what I mean by the shift in thinking we need. Using AI this way is like having a really knowledgeable colleague sitting next to you. Think about it in your native language. If you're in a meeting and you don't understand a technical term, you might quickly Google it or ask a colleague. We don't call that cheating, we call that being resourceful. The difference with AI is that it's happening at the speed of thought, and it's personalized to your specific learning needs.
So let's break this down into practical habits, because that's what our listeners need. What are the specific AI-powered fluency habits that someone should be building right now? Like, if someone's listening to this on their commute tomorrow morning, what should they actually do?
Great question. Let's start with what I call active AI conversation practice, and this is different from passive learning. You know how people use language learning apps and just tap through exercises? That's passive. Active AI conversation means you're engaging with conversational AI like ChatGPT or Claude, not to get answers, but to practice real dialogue.
Give me an example of what that looks like in practice.
Okay, so instead of asking AI, what's the difference between affect and effect, which is a passive question, you'd say, I'm going to write 3 sentences using affect and 3 using effect. After I write them, I want you to tell me if I use them correctly, explain why or why not, and then ask me follow-up questions to test my understanding. See the difference?
That's actually brilliant, because you're not just getting information, you're creating a learning dialogue.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. You can then say, now let's have a 5-minute conversation where you naturally use both words in context, and I'll respond. You're essentially creating personalized, immersive practice that would have been impossible 10 years ago. You'd need a tutor available 24 hours a day who never gets tired and can adjust to exactly your level.
So that's habit one. What's next?
The second habit is what I call contextual writing expansion. This is where AI becomes your writing coach, but in a very specific way. Most people use AI to write things for them, which actually weakens their skills. Instead, you write first, then use AI to analyze your writing for cultural appropriateness, professional tone, and clarity.
Wait, say more about cultural appropriateness. That's something I don't think we talk about enough.
This is huge, Sarah. English isn't just one language anymore. It's this global phenomenon with different cultural layers. British English, American English, Indian English, Nigerian English, they all have different conventions, different idioms, different levels of directness. So let's say you're writing an email to a potential client in London. You might write it and then ask AI, review this for British professional conventions. Is my tone appropriate? Am I being too direct or not enough direct? And the AI can explain not just what to change, but why those conventions exist.
That's so valuable because you're learning cultural intelligence, not just language rules.
Precisely. And this feeds into the third habit, which is real-time feedback loops. This means setting up systems where you're constantly getting input on your English usage in actual situations. So maybe you're on a Zoom call and you record it with permission, then use AI to analyze your speech patterns. Did you use filler words too much? Were your explanations clear? Did you adapt your language when technical concepts came up?
Okay, but I want to pause here because I think some people might be feeling overwhelmed. Like, this sounds like a lot of technology, a lot of tools. How do you make this manageable?
That's such an important question, and honestly, this is where I see people make mistakes. They try to use every tool at once and they burn out. So here's what I recommend. Start with one habit, just one, and integrate it into something you're already doing. If you write emails every day, that's your entry point. Start with the contextual writing expansion. If you commute and listen to podcasts like this one, add 10 minutes of AI conversation practice during that time.
It's about integration, not addition.
Exactly. You're not adding hours to your day. You're making the time you already spend on English more effective. And here's what happens. After about 2 weeks of consistent practice with one habit, it becomes natural. Then you can layer in another habit.
Let's talk about something that I think is on a lot of people's minds. What about the human element? Because as we're talking about all these AI tools, there's this fear that we're losing the human connection in language learning.
I'm so glad you brought this up because it's actually the opposite of what's happening, and this is counterintuitive. AI doesn't replace human interaction. It amplifies your ability to engage in meaningful human interaction. Think about it this way. If you're in a conversation with a colleague and you're spending mental energy trying to remember if you should use have gone or have been, or you're nervous about your pronunciation, you're not fully present in that human moment.
You're in your head instead of in the conversation.
Right. But when you've practiced with AI to the point where those mechanical elements become automatic, you can actually be more human in your interactions. You can focus on emotional intelligence, on reading the room, on contributing ideas rather than worrying about grammar. AI handles the mechanical coaching, so humans can focus on the meaningful connection.
That's a really profound reframe. So AI isn't competing with human interaction, it's preparing you for better human interaction.
And there's another layer to this. AI can give you the confidence to take risks in your English usage that you might not take otherwise. You know how in a language exchange or with a tutor, you might feel embarrassed to make mistakes? With AI, you can fail 100 times in private, build your confidence, and then bring that confidence into human interactions.
Let's get specific about tools, because I know people are wondering, okay, this all sounds great, but what exactly should I be using?
So in 2024, going into 2025 and 2026, the landscape is pretty rich. For conversational practice, you've got ChatGPT, Claude, and other large language models that can engage in natural dialogue. The key is using them as conversation partners, not just question-answering machines. For writing assistants, tools like Grammarly have evolved beyond just grammar checking. They now offer tone adjustment, clarity suggestions, and style guidance.
What about pronunciation? That's something a lot of learners struggle with.
Great point. There are AI-powered pronunciation tools like Elsa Speak that use speech recognition to give you instant feedback on your pronunciation. But here's what's exciting about the near future. We're moving toward AI that can understand not just whether you pronounced a word correctly, but whether you're communicating effectively in context. It's not just about perfect pronunciation, it's about functional communication.
So it's about being understood, not about sounding native.
Exactly. And this is another mindset shift that's crucial for 2026. The goal isn't to erase your accent or sound like you're from California or London. The goal is clear, effective communication. AI can help you identify when your pronunciation is actually hindering understanding versus when it's just your natural accent, which is perfectly fine.
Let's talk about the workplace specifically, because that's where a lot of the stakes are highest. How is AI changing English in professional environments?
This is where things get really interesting. In 2026, the professional world is going to assume a baseline of AI literacy. That means when you're in a meeting, people will assume you might have AI tools helping you take notes, summarize key points, or even suggest questions. The competitive advantage won't be whether you use these tools, it'll be how skillfully you use them.
So what does skillful use look like?
Let's say you're in a brainstorming session and it's happening in English, which isn't your first language. Instead of struggling to keep up or missing nuances, you could have AI providing real-time summaries, flagging important points, and even suggesting relevant questions you might ask. But here's the key. You're still the one thinking, contributing, and making decisions. The AI is augmenting your participation, not replacing it.
It's like having a really good assistant who knows you well.
Perfect analogy. And in professional writing, which is increasingly important, AI can help you navigate the specific conventions of your industry. Legal English is different from marketing English, is different from technical English. AI can coach you on those nuances in a way that would take years to learn organically.
Okay, I want to address something that might be uncomfortable. What about people who are already advanced in English? Is this relevant for them, or is this mainly for beginners and intermediate learners?
This is crucial, and I'm actually going to challenge the premise a bit. In 2026, there's no such thing as finished with English learning, even for native speakers. The language is evolving, professional communication standards are shifting, and AI is introducing new capabilities that everyone needs to learn. An advanced speaker who isn't AI literate is going to be at a disadvantage compared to an intermediate speaker who is.
That's a bold statement.
I know, but think about it. Imagine two people writing a business proposal. One is a native English speaker with perfect grammar and a strong vocabulary. The other is an intermediate speaker who uses AI to analyze their audience, adapt their tone, check for cultural appropriateness, and refine their message. Who's going to write the more effective proposal?
The one who's using the tools strategically.
Right. So this isn't about your current level. It's about your future capability. And the exciting thing is that AI actually levels the playing field in some ways. It gives learners access to expertise that was previously only available to people who could afford expensive tutors or who had years of immersive experience.
Let's talk about potential pitfalls, because I think it's important to be balanced here. What are the mistakes people make when trying to integrate AI into their English learning?
The biggest mistake, hands down, is passive dependence. This is when people let AI do the work instead of using AI to enhance their work. If you're having AI write all your emails, you're not learning anything. But if you're writing your emails and then asking AI, how could this be clearer? Or is this tone appropriate for this situation? You're actively learning.
So the AI should be asking you questions, not just giving you answers.
Exactly. The second mistake is not being critical of AI output. AI can make mistakes, especially with idioms or cultural context, so you need to develop what I call AI literacy, which means understanding when to trust AI suggestions and when to question them. This actually makes you a better learner because you're constantly evaluating and thinking critically.
What about privacy concerns? Because you're feeding a lot of your communication into these AI systems.
Super important consideration. You need to be thoughtful about what you share with AI tools, especially if you're dealing with confidential work information. Many AI tools now have privacy-focused options, but you should always check the terms of service and understand how your data is being used. The general rule is don't put anything into an AI system that you wouldn't be comfortable with others potentially seeing.
As we start to wrap up, I want to think forward. What does English fluency look like in 2026 and beyond? How is it different from what we thought fluency meant 5 or 10 years ago?
This is where I get really excited because I think we're moving toward a more human definition of fluency, ironically enabled by technology. Traditional fluency was about perfection, perfect grammar, extensive vocabulary, minimal accent. But future fluency is about effectiveness, adaptability, and authentic communication.
Break that down for us.
Effectiveness means you can communicate your ideas clearly in different contexts, whether that's a casual conversation, a formal presentation, or written communication. Adaptability means you can shift your language based on your audience, purpose, and medium. And authentic communication means you can express your genuine thoughts and personality in English, not just parrot phrases you've memorized.
And AI helps with all of that?
AI is the tool that makes all of that accessible. It gives you the scaffolding you need while you're building these skills. Think of it like training wheels, except these training wheels adapt to your skill level and eventually help you develop capabilities you might not achieve on your own.
So, what's your call to action for our listeners? What should they do today?
Start small and start intentionally. Pick one AI tool and one habit we discussed today. Maybe it's having a 5-minute conversation with ChatGPT tomorrow morning about a topic you care about. Maybe it's running your next important email through an AI writing assistant before you send it. Whatever you choose, do it consistently for 2 weeks and pay attention to what you're learning, not just about English, but about how you learn.
And remember that this isn't about replacing your current learning methods.
Right. If you're taking classes, keep taking classes. If you're doing language exchanges, keep doing that. AI enhances these experiences. It doesn't replace them. Think of AI as another member of your learning team, one that's available anytime, endlessly patient, and constantly improving.
I love that framing. Before we close, is there anything you're still figuring out about this? Because I think it's important to acknowledge that this is all evolving.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still trying to understand how AI will change classroom dynamics, especially for group learning. I'm curious about how younger learners who are growing up with AI will develop language skills differently from previous generations. And honestly, I'm fascinated by the question of whether AI will lead to a more unified global English or more diverse regional variations. I don't have answers yet. These are open questions.
And that's actually exciting, right? Because it means we're all learning together.
Exactly. The English language has always evolved, and right now we're living through one of the most significant evolutionary moments in its history. The people who thrive won't be the ones who resist change or blindly embrace every new tool. They'll be the ones who thoughtfully integrate AI into their learning journey while staying connected to why communication matters in the first place, to connect with other humans, to share ideas, and to understand each other better.
That's beautiful, and I think that's the perfect note to end on. The future of English is about better human connection enabled by technology.
So, to everyone listening, you're not behind. The fact that you're here, learning about these tools, thinking about your future, that means you're already ahead. Take one small step today and then another tomorrow. The future of English fluency isn't something that's going to happen to you. It's something you are actively building.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration. If this conversation opened up new ways of thinking for you, we'd love to hear about it. What's one AI-powered habit you're going to try this week?
And remember, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now.
Until next time, keep learning, keep evolving, and keep connecting.